I'm going to cover 7-4, adding and subtracting polynomials today. And one of the main main thing that I want you to remember is that when you try to combine, either adding or subtracting polynomials, you have to line up like terms vertically, which is in column form. Now, what do I mean by like terms? I'm talking, you have seen this in 7-3, which define like terms to be like this. For instance, 7x squared minus 3x squared. Why are these like terms? Because they must have, we don't care about coefficient, by the way, we just care about the variable and the power. They must have the same variable or variables if you have multiple, and they must have the same powers as well for you to consider as like terms. Now this is easy enough where you can just go ahead and see, oh, you have 7x squared minus 3x squared, then you have 4x squared left. Just like I have 4b minus 3b, I have 1b left. But I want you to get used to the idea of lining it up vertically. 7x squared minus 3x squared. 7 minus 3 is 4. Please do not think that x squared minus x squared is going to be a 0 and a 0 times 4 is going to be nothing. That's not the case. Remember, the variable here just tells you what kind of term it is. This is called a 7, the term that is 7 of x squared term. This is 3 of x squared term. Okay, so you still have to have a term to define a coefficient. Just like, when I give you oranges, I still have to say oranges, otherwise you don't know what kind of fruit that is, right? So I have to keep that there. So please remember this. Let's take a look at first example that I have for you. Let's say I have 5x squared minus 3x plus 4 enclosed inside these parentheses because I want you to understand that this is a polynomial, right? One complete polynomial, you have multiple terms. Add that to 6x minus 3x squared minus 3. Notice that this is in order from greatest to least. This is not in order, but that's okay. I mean, our job is to rearrange them, make them in order, line them up like terms vertically, right? So what you can kind of do now is just to bring this whole polynomial term down here, but don't forget you have to line up like terms. You cannot put 6x underneath 5x squared term because they are not like terms. Instead, you have to put the negative 3x squared. Okay, don't forget that the sign in front stays with the term. So it's going to be negative 3x squared. It's going to be positive 6x, so write it as positive 6x, and this is a negative 3. Okay, I write as is. The only thing that I'm doing is making sure that every terms are lined up vertically. Okay, and this is adding, right? So I'm combining. I'll put the plus sign right there. If it helps you at all, you can certainly put the plus sign in every column to remind yourself that you have to add each column. Okay, this plus signs right here will apply to each column. And you can just go and add down. 5x squared plus negative 3x squared, that's a 2x squared. Negative 3x plus 6x, that's a positive 3x. 4 plus negative 3, that's a positive 1, and there you have it. That's how you combine, or in this case, adding polynomials. I want you to go ahead and try out number 14 on page 386. I'll be checking on you for sure, so make sure you complete that before you come back. Here's another example I'd like to give you. Let's say I have this, 4x to the third minus 3x squared plus 6x minus 4 minus, I don't have room, but I'm just going to go ahead and write it here, negative 2x to the third plus x squared minus 2. Okay, so now it's a subtraction case of polynomials, and like what I did before, I make sure I line up each column. So I'm just going to show it to you here. 4x to the third minus 3x squared plus 6x minus 4. I have here negative 2x to the third, so I'm lining that up with the x to the third column. I have here the x squared, so I'm lining that up with the x squared column. And I have here, notice this is a constant, so I have to line it up with the constant column. Okay, so what is missing here? I'm missing the x column, right? So whatever it is that you're missing, please fill it in with a 0. Okay, this I'm missing the x column, so I'm filling with 0x. Let's say I'm missing the x squared column, I'll fill in with 0x squared. Okay, it's like a space filler kind of thing. So now, because this is a minus case, I can certainly put that minus here, and I can certainly remind myself that every column is being subtracted. Okay, so if it helps you at all, you certainly separate them like this, and let's start subtracting. 4x squared minus negative 2x to the third, that's going to give you a negative become positive, right? So that's going to be 6x to the third. This is minus a negative 3x squared minus x squared, that's going to become negative 4x squared. This becomes 6x minus 0x, which is still the same, plus 6x. Remember, the sign has to say in front whether it's positive or negative, so you still want to write the sign in this case. Negative 4 minus negative 2 minus negative becomes a positive, right? So it's going to become negative 2. And now if you circle that, that is your final answer. Let me just write it out clearly here. 6x to the third minus 4x squared plus 6x minus 2. Okay? I think that's it. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is try number 16 on page 386, and we'll talk about that tomorrow.